morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Right. There's some issue with my presentation at the moment. I don't know why it is not opening. I will start with what we did in the beginning of the first unit. Uh, See, if you look at first unit, I think we went through quite a few things. First was that we tried and defined human resource management. And we said that human resource management is nothing but planning, organizing, directing, controlling or coordinating of the procurement, development, compensation, and integration of people for the purpose of achievement of organizational, societal, and individual goals. I'll repeat this. Human resource management is planning, organizing, directing, coordinating of procurement, development, compensation, integration, and maintenance of people for the purpose of achievement of organizational, societal, and individual goals. Is it clear? Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now,
Yes, sir.
each terminology basically has got certain elements that we have got to look at. What are those elements that is important to know? We said it is planning as the first term. Human resource management is planning, organizing, directing, and coordinating. Now, the first functions that I've listed, that is planning, organizing, directing, and coordinating, the four functions are basically functions of management. These are called expressed functions of management, whereas it is the borrowed function of human resource management. Human resource management has borrowed these four functions from the general function of management, right? Incidentally, the first function of management is also planning. Okay. What is planning, by the way? Planning, as we all know, in generic terms, is thinking in advance, deciding certain course of action, deciding a strategy about it, and then implementing it later on. But in human resource management, planning is basically getting 5 rights, RIGHTS. What are those 5 rights? First right is getting right person. Getting right person. Now, right person at right time, in right number, at right place, doing the right job. So these are the five. Can anybody repeat it? Can any one of you repeat it?
Yes,
Adil?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, Fatima?
Five
Yeah.
rights are getting right person at right time, in right number at right place, to do the right job.
Okay. So these are the first five rights as far as planning is concerned. And to get it right, we have got to go through certain processes that we will deal with when we get down to human resource planning. Right. Now, the second term we used is organizing. Right? Now, organizing is basically creating a structure. Organizing is basically getting the script ready as to who is going to be placed where, what responsibility will they have, and therefore it is analogous to a film script. I said it is analogous to a film script where a storyline is being written. You have different characters who are there in that script, and they know their roles as to what they are supposed to perform. You do have their designations. So there are lead roles which are there. There are many roles that has to be played, and everybody has to do their own bit as and when they are required to do it. So it is in human resource, it is creating an organizational structure of whatever type is preferred depending on the situation, and naming those positions as to what they are, and then going into the details of what they are supposed to do. Okay. Then the third thing we said is directing. Now, directing is that you need to explain them, the roles. The HR people have got to be explained their roles. What role a marketing manager has to play, or what role an HR person has to play. And that role has to be absolutely clear. There should be no ambiguity. There should be no overlap. It should be crystal clear role that one should understand. And the role in directing is that what they are supposed to do has to be explained in detail, which they will be judged at as far as evaluation process is concerned at the later date. Now, the fourth term we used is coordinating. What do we coordinate? We try and see that the person who has been designated, the person who has been explained about the roles, they are playing the right role. They are not diverting from what they are supposed to do. They are doing it effectively and efficiently. If they are not doing it, they are going to be corrected. And who is going to coordinate it? It is the supervisors who are going to coordinate the affairs. And supervisors are right from level 1 to the end. We need to see that the targets that has been demarcated, the objectives that has been laid down are being achieved by the organization with the help of the people who you have planned to get in the organization. And therefore we said that there should be no shortage of employee, or there should be no extra employee, because shortage and extra both are cost to the organization. Right. Now, once we have got these four functions, which we said are the expressed functions of management and borrowed function of human resource management, we said that we are having to procure them. Right? We have got to get them. get those people. We have got to do onboarding of these people. Where to get them from? How to get them from? Right? That decision has to be taken, and that will be implemented by the human resource department. So procurement of human resource is what we are talking about. How many people do we need? And how many people do we need to hire? So how many people do we need is a long run phenomena, but in the short run, we'll have how many people do we need to hire. Now, if we say we need 10 people, how have we arrived at those 10 people? Is it by adjustment when the planning was being done? Planning tells you after the adjustment as to how many people have left the organization, how many people are going to retire, how many people are basically needed to perform the job at a particular point of time, then we will get that number to the management people. Now, management people will get the breakup of those people. What is the breakup? Right? What? Right. Different positions we will have to see. Is it the only entry level? Is it at the supervisor's level? Is it at the assistant manager's level? Is it at the manager's level? Is it at the uh, assistant general manager level, or is it at any other higher level of director? Whosoever is there, we will get a specific number for each, and depending on where we need people and how many do we need, we decide the course of action. For example, if you need higher level executives, we will need to perhaps try and find them out through trade journals by advertising. But if we need entry level people, we may approach the institutions, academic institutions. We may go to the open market, or we may, hire some employment agencies with the help of which we will try and follow the process. So there are two processes that we do. The first process is called the process of recruitment, and it is followed by the process of selection. Now, recruitment, we will try and prepare the ads. We will decide the course of action. We will receive the application, but before we start screening them, we will say that the recruitment process is over. Sometimes the end of one may overlap with the beginning of another. Selection process would be where we try and interview them. If give them a written test, go through different processes, with different pseudo-scientific tests, and then arrive at the numbers who are going to be interviewed at different levels, and then through different methods, and finally an offer for joining the organization will be made on temporary basis. The person will be on probation for a certain period of time before they are being confirmed in the job. So that is the total process of procurement that has to be followed. Now, once a person has been brought on board, are they going to start functioning straight away? Answer is no.
So no,
The
sir.
training happens first.
They shall have to be told what they are supposed to do, how to do it, because the freshers may just be armed with knowledge. They must be armed with principles. They must be armed with the theories. They must be armed with the models that they have learned at the college level. But their capabilities, which we call the competence, is not there to perform a particular function. And therefore, they will have to be developed in terms of the competence that is required to perform the job in hand. That is the first job that they are going to do, right? Before that, they will be oriented to enter the organization. After orientation, they shall have to learn how to do that job. And why it is needed? Because routine clerical jobs can be done without much training. The more you do it, the better you will do it. But the jobs involving concepts, the job involving principles, the job involving theories, that needs to be translated to actual job scenario, and that has to be done by the organization in the development of human being. Now, development is a continuous process. Therefore, they will be first taught as to how to do the present job well. Then they will be taught how to do the future job well. They will also be looking at a critical and exceptional skill that they need to learn in the organizations. So development process will follow. Now, once you have developed the people, so we said procurement, development, and then they are not going to work for free. They have to be compensated. How much a salary they are going to be paid, that process is required to be done. So what we try and do, we try and look at the capacity of the organization to pay. We look at the law of the land in terms of minimum wages. We also look at the prevailing industry rate. We also see the economy, condition of the economy. Is it booming? Is it at slum? Whatever. Now, once we have decided upon taking into consideration all factor as to which position will be having how much value in terms of money, that has to be decided. And in the advertisement, we insert the clause as to how much money is there. Sometimes if we have not decided in the beginning, we say it is negotiable. Why? Because we find that if you get a higher qualified person, you may have got to offer them certain extra increments so that they are being attracted to the organization, because salary has to be based on attraction retention factor. Not only that, we need to attract people to the organization, we also need to retain them in the organization for the long run so that they are performing well. Now, once we have decided upon the salaries that they have got to be paid, whether it is based on performance or is it based on the year of seniority, is it based on qualification. But the factors that we said has to be considered is the capacity of the organization to pay, the prevailing market rate, the legislations of the country, right? The demand supply position, the economy, condition of the economy, so on and so forth. Once we have decided about the compensation, we will need to integrate people. Because if people are thinking differently, they do not feel themselves as part and parcel of the organization may not be able to achieve. So a team which wins is always a well-coordinated team. Everybody is aware about their roles. Everybody knows what to do when. But at the end of the day, they need to achieve only one objective, that is the organizational objective. Right? They should not represent the state they come from. They should not represent the color they are having. They are not supposed to know they should not be basically talking about a particular caste, creed, or sex. They are all members of the organization and inducted in the organization to achieve a predetermined goal. They will have their individual goals too, and for that an integration is required, that they become persons of the same color. They become the thinker on the same line in the organization. They adapt to the culture of the organization, whatever is the type of culture that exists. Right? So what we have: procurement, development, compensation, integration, and maintenance of people. Maintenance is basically the last function that we have. We have got to look at the quality of work life of people. We need to motivate them. We need to see that health programs are there. If somebody falls ill, are they going to be left out? No, the organization shall have health programs. They must have the medical benefit schemes that is there. We will also have maintenance by having cooperative societies. We will also have schools for the children of employee. We will also have, programs for the further education of the employees. They are to be given some amount of leave. So all that is there for the benefit of people would be forming part of the maintenance function as to people are there, so they are being taken care by the organization from the time they join the organization and to the time they leave, and even after in the form of pensionary benefit if it is applicable to the employee who are there. They are going to be counseled for, if there is no pension, how to save and then have a better life upon separation from the organization, as to when they superannuate or retire from the organization, as to what they are going to do. So all those programs will be forming part of the maintenance function in the organization. We said this is to achieve three goals. There are goals which are called organizational goals. There are goals which are individual goals, and there are goals which are societal goals. Now, what is the objective of the organization? Anybody who can tell me? To maximize profit. Good. Anybody? Anything else? What
So to
about
create
the
a
lead in the organization?
to create a base in the market so that more and more employees get attracted, more and more students get attracted.
To be a model employer, right?
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Anybody else who can tell me something? Anybody else who can tell me something?
Main in the margin in the long run to maintain
To
reputation.
exist to the foreseeable future.
Yes, sir.
What else? To be market leader.
Creating reputation.
Creating the,
Reputation.
see, we said being model employer is basically covering all that part, beta. So that's what I said, to be the market leader, to lead the organization. Yes. What else? See, there are large number of objectives that we can list, right? To satisfy the investors, to give them a return on investment. So these are some of the objectives. But basically, if you look at these, right, the first and foremost objective was listed by the first person, that is to earn profit, right? First objective is to earn profit. The second objective is to earn profit. The third objective is to earn profit. The 99th objective is to earn profit, and so is the 100th objective. Then what about the other objectives? The other objectives are subordinate to making profit in the organization, right? Now, word profit, somebody may disagree. They may disagree. What about non-profit organizations, right? What about the NGOs? I tell you one thing, every type of organization, irrespective of what they are, they all earn profit. The profit is where, first of all, you have to have the break even. At a point, we have no profit, no loss. Beyond that, we need to earn normal profits. That is, to meet all the costs which are there. So we will meet the cost of production, cost of service. We will be paying the people who are there, right? We will also have extra which we can ploy in the business. So they also have got to earn a minimum normal profit for other types of organization. And for all other commercial organizations, they have got to earn beyond the normal profit so that they can maximize profit that is there. Therefore, we said objective is to earn profit. Maximization would be objective of some organizations, but for others it will be earning normal profit so that they can sustain in the market and they can provide the goods and services for which they have come into existence, uh, doing a service, the social service or whatever type of service they are supposed to do, but they have to have funds to do it. So, so that is where we say that every organization, irrespective of the nature, shall have to earn profit. That is, and all employees in the organization have got to, strive to gain that profit, to achieve that goal of the organization. What is the societal goal? The society wants that if an organization has come up in their area, at least for the lower positions, some employment will be provided to people of that particular area, right? So that is one objective. They are not going to pollute the atmosphere. Now, if you are not polluting the atmosphere, you are doing a social service in spite of your existence. But the higher level social objective is to get the quality goods at reasonable price, at the time it is needed, and at the place it is needed. So if you need bread to be supplied, that should be supplied first thing in the mornings, so that before getting out for office, you get fresh loaf of bread to eat in the breakfast. Now that has to be of optimum quality, right? And that should also be at reasonable price. And where should it be available? If you need it in Sir Sayyid Nagar or you need it in Awas Vikas colony, it should not be available in a port. It should be available to you at the nearest outlet, the nearest shop, the nearest mall, the nearest fortune shop which is there. So what we find is that it has to be available at the nearest place where from you can fetch it. Provide that is basically doing a social service. They are achieving the target. Okay. Now, individual goals. Now, individual goal, when you join the organization, you do have certain goals to achieve, don't you? What do you want? You would like to have reasonable amount to be paid as compensation. That's number one. I said reasonable amount, commensurate to your qualification, commensurate to your experience, right? Then we will also see that organization is providing you right kind of culture in the organization. They are providing you a right kind of working environment in the organization. A clean place, a place where you enjoy working, a place which is not very hot, it is not very cold, a place where drinking water facilities are available, a place where you have a reasonable number of, toilets for both males and females. You have spittoons which are available. You have got machineries which are being fenced properly. There is no hazard in that particular organization. So individual objectives would be first to get a reasonable salary, reasonable environment, to get, a right kind of culture in the organization. And we should also get opportunities to grow in the organization. Because if you have joined an organization, you want growth with that, your career is tied up. So career prospect is there in that particular organization. That would be the individual objective that you want to achieve, and it has to be taken care of by the organizations. So this definition basically encompasses all the functions that HR is supposed to perform within the organization, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear, dear? If you have any question, please feel free to ask me.
Sir, can I ask something?
Yes, why not?
Yeah, yeah. In the profit
Into profit and loss account.
yes, sir.
They are not supposed to prepare a profit and loss account. They need to prepare an income and expenditure account. Number one, right?
Yes, sir.
Number two, they will also have a balance sheet. That is the asset that they have and the liabilities that they have, right? In the
Yes.
balance sheet.
Yes, sir.
Now, similarly, if you are not earning enough, how will you pay your employees? So you have got, there are salaries to the directors which are charged into the upper half of the income and expenditure, right?
Yes, sir.
And there are certain expenses which is there as expense heads. So the salary that you are paying will be charged in the expense head because it is an income and expenditure account and it should balance out at the end,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
So if they are not earning, how will they pay their employees? How will they meet their expenses? How will they acquire the needed asset? How will they replace the assets which has, expired its working life? It has been depreciated. And if the scrap cost is there, then that scrap will sold out, and the amount that has been earned will be shown as income, right? So that
Yes.
that is there. But for other types of organization, they need to prepare a profit and loss account. That is the basic difference. It's basically juggling that we have got to do, but in plain and simple terms, they have got to earn profit. Profit so much so that is to meet the cost. They envisage the cost, and accordingly they have got to make the normal amount of money out of the things that they are doing, or they have got to raise that money. Raising money will also come from some sources, and that will be considered as their income. Okay?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine.
God, thank you.
Any other questions that you have? Any other question?
No, sir.
Okay. See, if you look at the organizations today, now these organizations as such are all having some kind of functions. And one of the functions we said is referred to as human resource management. This term, human resource management, was not known prior to the 1960s. The term which we knew was known as personnel management. Personnel, personnel management, right? But even personnel management was not known before the first World War. It is only during the First World War that we realized the importance of people. We realized that they have to be taken care of. And in order to manage them, there has to be some function which must come up. Right? And therefore, what we find that some kind of a welfare had to be done during the period of 1914 to 1919 by the philanthropists. So it was in Great Britain that Sidney and Beatrice Webb tried and coined a term known as the personnel management. Why it was needed? Because during the World War, supply had to be made to the army which was fighting at the front. We all know that Great Britain was one of the major power at that point of time, right? They not only had to save their own country, but also fight with the Allied army. Now, India too had its share because India was a colony and large number of people from India were drafted into the force to fight on behalf of Great Britain. Okay. Now, the army needed dresses, the army needed boots, the army needed guns, the army needed vehicles, army needed warplanes, army needed bombs, army needed rifles, army needed bullets. So everything was needed by the army. Army needed food supplies, so on and so forth. And if industry was not working properly, if human resource was not cooperating properly, then they were not going to get them. And hampering of supply means the army would not be able to fight. And therefore, they thought that the industries have got to work overtime. People have got to work overtime. Why should they work overtime? Why should? Just a minute, please. Just a minute, I'll just be back. Right. So, in order to keep them motivated, some welfare function was thought of by the philanthropists who wanted to, these people to work properly. Even the government wanted to do these, some favors to these people. And therefore, for the first time, welfare started. And therefore, what we find is that the beginning of personnel management / human resource management started during the period of 1920s. And we divide the total period as evolution of human resource management from the time of 1920s to the present day. So the first period was the period of 1920s and 1930s, which we call as the period which was dominated by pragmatism of the capitalists. It was the capitalists it was the pragmatism of the capitalists. It was followed by the period of 1940s to 1950s, which is called the period of technical and legislative. So we have got technical and legalistic period starting with 1940s to 1950s, or rather 1960s. Then came the third period, which is the recognition period, that is 1970s to 1980s. We call that the period of professionalism, call that the period of legalistic. We also find that once it is professional, it is out to be impersonal. And then came the period of 90s to the present day. We call that the period of development, which is philosophical in nature. So this is the period which we have. Now, if you look in the period of 1920s to 30s, it is the beginning of human resource management, and the outlook was the pragmatism of capitalists. Emphasis was more in statutory welfare and paternalism because of the people who cared for the employee, right? The philanthropists. But status was that it was not recognized as a function, it was a clerical function. The period of 40s to 60s is called the period of recognition. We said status was legalistic and technical. New techniques were being introduced and it became an administrative function. It was followed by the period of 1970s to 1990s. Some sophistication was brought in, so it became professional, legalistic, and impersonal. Large number of legislations was passed and implemented, so it was regulatory in terms of emphasis. And for the first time, it was recognized as a managerial function, one of the functions of management. And to the present day, it is promising, it is philosophical, human values are being emphasized more, and it has turned out to be an executive function rather than just a managerial function that is there. Okay? I'll stop here for today. And just tell me one thing. Can we meet in the afternoon for slightly longer hours from tomorrow, so that we can finish it as early as we can?
Sure,
Tell
sir.
me the
Sir, we
time,
can.
because only your group is there, not other groups.
Yes, sir.
So what time you suggest? I'll send you the link accordingly. Tomorrow, what time are we meeting?
Around
3:30
10 p.m.
3:30 to 5?
Sir, if possible, then, sir, we should start from 4 p.m. That will be good for us.
So what is the problem at 3:30? Let me know, please.
Oh,
I'm just asking. Siesta is the
Sir.
problem? Is siesta
sir.
a problem?
Yes, sir, there is problem, but I can manage, sir. If you want 3:30, then it's okay.
See, you are a young person, an old person like me. If I can manage at 3:30, why can't you manage, my friend? Tell
So
me.
of course we can manage. It's okay.
Yes,
So 3:30.
yes. Because
Yes, sir.
later hours,
I'll
the prayer time begins. See, after Zuhar, if I start at 3:30, by 5, I'll finish and I'll have Asr time. You too will have that prayer time, because Asr prayer is called at around 5 o'clock these days, right?
Yes,
If we
yes.
delay further, then Asr time will be gone better. Okay?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that is the time. We will try and finish it as early as possible. So if we start at 3:30, by 5:30 we will finish. Yes, I'll
Okay,
try and
sir.
finish it at 5 o'clock. 90 minutes class will be there, so that we can cover more than one topic a day. Right? So from tomorrow we are not meeting at 11:15. We are meeting at
3:30.
3:30.
3:30.
Okay.
Yes.
3:30.
Okay,
All
sir.
right.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Take care,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.